Where's Tony?
Ready?
Oh, he's coming.
You start it.
Good evening. Welcome to the Board of Selectmen's meeting for Thursday, January 24th, 2019. Please stand for the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can you raise this chair? Is this chair going? I don't know how to do it. There it is. Okay, good.
That a little better?
Yeah, thanks.
Opening comments. Richie?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to congratulate the Public Works for an outstanding job during the storm and the secondary storm in clearing the zone. They did a spectacular job going through other communities. It was just, they got the ice of the street down there. Plenty of salt. They should be commended. That's all I have.
Enzo?
Yeah, I just, I want to just reflect a bit on, we lost a young man in Nahant about a week and a half ago, Dean Dennis. And Dean was just a good kid, and it was a shock to me. It was a shock to the Tannins, I'm sure. It's the Tannins' son. And Dean was just a good boy, and I want everybody just to try to remember him. And also, Dean Palumbo's dad passed away the other day, Dante, who was a lifelong resident of Nahant, and I just want to, everybody to keep those two in their thoughts. I'd appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'd like to go along with Richie's comments. I spent a lot of time outside, as did most people, and the town employees did an awesome job. That was not an easy storm. To have an ice storm for that long was incredible. Go out and you snow blow, next thing you know, you got a quarter-inch of ice. So, and they did a terrific job on the streets. So thank you, DPW. Okay, approve January 3rd, 2019 Selectmen minutes.
Okay, I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the minutes of January 3rd, 2019.
Second?
Discussion? All right. Seeing and hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous vote. Citizens Forum. Alice?
Hi. Alice Court, 7 Valley Road. I have a couple of different comments to make. You need this down lower?
Yeah.
I'm too short.
hear you better.
Thanks. First is just to remind you all of that more than a month ago, December 20th, Susan Solomon and I sent a document with numerous questions to representatives of Northeastern University, and we sent copies to all of you, the Board of Selectmen, the town administrator, and shared them with numerous members of the community that were raising questions, as we had been invited to do so by Ralph Martin, about the proposed Northeastern expansion. At the last meeting, January 3rd, you all took a vote, because we had not heard anything back from them, to request that Northeastern respond to all of those questions within 2 weeks, which was when the last meeting was first scheduled. We, as yet, have not heard anything back from them. I understand that there was a conversation today between the town administrator and representatives of Northeastern, so I look forward to hearing more about that.
Yes.
I don't know if you're aware, in yesterday's edition of the Huntington News, which is the independent newspaper of Northeastern University, Lucas Ilian, the news correspondent, wrote a story entitled Proposal for Expansion in Nahant Faces Backlash. So that quoted several members of our community, talked about some of the issues, and included a link to our document. And it also said something that I thought was interesting and a little bit, I'll read it first, you can decide. Michael Ferrari, the Assistant Vice President for External Affairs, was quoted as saying, "There may be things we can't control, such as litigation that could be initiated by the town or by property abutters, but it's hard to know what sort of impact prolonged legal entanglement would have on the resources of the town." And the author of the article said the deciding factor in the conflict may be financial. This brought to mind some of the comments that one of you made several meetings ago, which was that you, as members of the Board of Selectmen, knew things we didn't know. And I also brought to mind comments that you made at the last meeting, was that Northeastern was going to meet individually, or representatives of Northeastern would meet individually with you, because they couldn't meet together with you because that would break the open meeting law. I'm wondering, why do you all agree to meet with them individually? Because I know there have been issues about rumors going on and concerns about backdoor deals and so forth, and to me, it seems as though we want to avoid all of that. We want to keep the lines of communication to the citizens of Nahant well open, and I would think that we want Northeastern to have to publicly inform you while it informs us of what it intends or how it's responding to these various questions or considerations. If you're meeting individually, how do you even know they're telling you each the same thing? But we're certainly, I know residents of Nahant are concerned and rumors are being created about what they intend. So these comments from Michael Ferrari, I read as sort of bullying and, kind of saying, we're Northeastern's a big entity and we could tie up the town of Nahant and screw them financially for a long time if we so choose. I mean, that's sort of the backdoor statement. And if that's what they're saying to us, then let them say it out loud and have to deal with it publicly so that people know who they are and what they're planning on doing. So those are some of the concerns that I had, and I'm eager to hear what you learned in response to our many questions. We did ask that those answers be given to us in writing and actually before the last meeting so that we could respond to them or ask more questions in relation to them. So that certainly has not happened. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. Mr. Town Administrator? On the answers to the questions, please.
Sure. Well, first of all, I wasn't here at the last Board of Selectmen meeting, so I haven't really had the opportunity to publicly, thank all of the residents that provided a ton of questions and feedback, including that letter. So, and I thought that was, there's clearly a significant amount of time put into that letter. So, we thank the community for providing that information to us, because that helps us in these conversations with Northeastern. We did speak with them today about those specifically those questions and others, and they did say that they are preparing some written response to not only the questions that are in that letter, but also others that were raised during the December 11th meeting. And that they hope to have that to us by the end of the month, so next week. Obviously we did apply pressure in asking them to have it back to us within 2 weeks from the last Board of Selectmen meeting, but, they are, working diligently to put something together, and I'm sure it just, it's taken a little bit more time than they expected. But they are putting something together, and hopefully we'll have that by, next week. And then, the second question about, private meetings versus public, I think that, the goal of our private meetings was to try to have a more, organized discussion and push what we were hearing from the community onto Northeastern. And so that was I guess the product of that was the December 11th meeting. Now I think it's clear up front what they are proposing, the different versions that they're proposing. There are still some unanswered questions about what's happening inside and other things like that, which they're putting together a response. But I don't know, is it Ferrari? I've never met with him, but I've been in every meeting with Northeastern with each of these of the board, along with our attorney from KP Law. So message has been consistent each time that we've met with them individually, and really it's been us trying to push them on the issues that we were hearing and getting them to put together a clear and concise presentation to go to the public with, and that was what the December 11th meeting was. I don't think we're done. I think there's still a lot of unanswered questions, and hopefully we'll continue to get them to produce that type of information.
Back when we decided as a board to have open public meetings for the plans of Northeastern, was it 2 months ago, maybe?
August,
okay.
October.
So, I can tell you that that's what we've been having. We have met with them individually. We have to, and to prepare for the meeting, we have to meet with them individually because of the open meeting law. No one wants to get sent to ethics. No one wants to break the open meeting law, so that's why we meet separately. Our team meets, Richie, then me, all right, or whatever, vice versa, doesn't matter. And the only thing, I can tell you, the only thing that I have seen in those meetings is what they proposed, their 3 proposals, and then, of course, you see it, the same thing, when we have the open meetings. Rumors are just rumors. Rumors are going to be there all the time. Somebody came down to the garage the other day just to let me know that they're losing their storage space at Bass Point Apartments, and they hear Northeastern's buying it. That's why. And I just shook my head, and I had to walk away, because it's absurd. They're not buying Bass Point Apartments. These are just rumors. And they're going to be out there all the time. They're going to be on Facebook. They're going to be all over the place. And quite frankly, I'm getting sick of them, because you know just as much as we do about their plans. No more. No less than what we know. They present it to us individually, and then we have an open meeting, am I right, T? And they present it to you. And that's as far as it goes. We don't know any more than you. It wasn't me that said it. I don't know who it was that said it, but we don't know special things that you don't know. And you're just going to have to trust, I don't know if you can, you're going to have to trust me on that one. That we don't know anything more than what you know.
I guess the question is, if they are just telling you slightly in advance individually what they're going to tell us anyway, why not just remove that step? Because, as I said, I agree with you that rumors are going to happen, but the illusion that nefarious things are happening in individual meetings would be relieved if there were no individual meetings.
Do you remember the February meeting that we had, the first meeting?
Yes,
That was
very much so.
A million people here,
Yeah.
okay? Quite frankly, that was my meeting. That was because I was the chairman, and I'm not real proud of it. I can tell you that, because I don't think it went very well. I think it was hang Northeastern, they're the devil, and you have to hear both sides. We have to hear both sides. We just can't say, get out. We have to hear both sides. And for us for them to come to us and say, look, we're going to show you our plans so that you're prepared for the meeting. It's only just to prepare for the meeting. And it's the same week that we have the meeting, and that is it. No more.
So then correct me if I'm wrong. I thought on January 3rd that you also spoke about how you were going to have individual meetings with them to review the questions as well. But that did not happen in the past 3 weeks either.
But the question was asked today, I believe. Why haven't, have you
All right, let me...
have you answered the questions yet that they've asked, those that you and Susan Solomon had written? And they said at the end of the month. Tony told you what they said.
No, yes, I heard that. Thanks very much.
Okay. So, that's as far as it goes. We know no more than what you know.
I'll just reiterate that there's a number of options of how to approach this issue, and the board wants to explore each one of those options fully, and compromise, some type of compromise or negotiation is one of those options, and it's really more of just having that be as productive as possible. Obviously, in an open forum, if that isn't organized in a certain way or prepared a certain way, productivity of that conversation decreases. So the effort that we're making individually with them is simply to, reiterate the comments and concerns that we're hearing from the town. And we're saying, well, what about this? What about that? You need to address that publicly. You need to talk about this. You need to explain that. Those are the types of things that we're doing. So, and I think the December 11th meeting, as far as being clear and organized, that, I think you saw that. I think most people that got up and spoke said, at least now I understand what you're trying to put forward. So that's really the goal of, it's not to do anything, below board. It's just a matter of trying to have that option flushed out as productively as possible.
And for TV land, since I became chairman, my goal has been to talk with Northeastern. The word thrown out is compromise, that in fact that building at 60,000 square feet it's a non-entity for me. But I am not going to say get out of my town until I've gone through the compromise period. So the fact that if I'm not with you, I must be against you, I could care less, because in fact I have to think about the whole town. So that's where my 2 cents is on a compromise. At some point, obviously, it's going to come to the full town. And we should have some meetings, more meetings with them, schedule some more meetings with them, and Mr. Town Administrator, we should inform the public about the meetings after and what we've accomplished. I think that's a good thing, and I think that's a good thing.
Sure. Just one thing, and I agree with T on that. I think, I'm sorry, Richard, go ahead.
Mr. Lombard, please.
You keep mentioning meetings as in plural tense. I met with the board, that Northeastern team, one time, and they presented the plans to us, the ABC plans. It was individual, which, I will never meet with them again. My answer is not negotiation whatsoever. The people said no to Northeastern, and I'm not in favor of any expansion whatsoever up there. I'm not going to be sitting in negotiation session. I'm not going to vote for a negotiation session, okay? But I want to let you know there's no secret meeting with me. I've had one meeting, and that meeting was that plan presentation that they gave me. That was the only meeting that I've had with Northeastern, okay? And I will not go to another meeting. And I think these negotiation, whatever they should be sitting right in front of us and hear it out. No secret meetings, have it right in public. Let everyone know exactly, so you start the rumors. The Board of Selectmen are meeting individually and they're making deals behind the scenes, or they're compromising everything. No, I'm not involved in that. The recommendation was the chairman and the town administrator meet with him. That's fine, but I think it should be open to the public. And it should be in front of the board, in front of the whole auditorium, and let's exactly hear with it. But I'm not gonna stand here and let someone say that I'm having a secret meeting with Northeastern, whereas I only had one meeting, and I'm making a deal behind the scenes for Northeastern. My answer to Northeastern is no compromise. I do not want them to expand that program at all up there. What they have is what they're gonna, that's all I want them to do. I want no more. And I've always voted that way, and I will stand my ground saying the same thing. I do not want negotiations, because negotiation sounds like we're gonna make a deal. We're not, my vote is not to make any deals. The answer is no. The townspeople have spoken. They do not want that expansion program. And I represent those people. And I will tell you, if I'm gonna have a secret meeting with someone, you'll be here. I guarantee you that. I will not allow a secret meeting. I'm not gonna go to a secret meeting. Okay? And that causes nothing but rumors. You know, someone told me to come up and they took over Bass Point, Bailey's Hill. Please, that's not true. And I just, it's crazy, the stuff that's going out. But this board member is not gonna compromise my initial stand on their expansion program. And I do not want I could care less, my other board members can negotiate if they want, but I'm not gonna get involved in that. To me, it's no. And we represent the townspeople. I represent the town, always have. They said no. And I haven't heard any group come forward and say, listen, oh yeah, it'd be good to, let them put a 45,000 square foot. That's a Walmart up there. Okay, we're not gonna allow it. I'm not gonna allow it. It's crazy. Town's too small, we can't afford the traffic, the whole ball of wax. It's not good. So if you hear rumors, you come up here on Thursday night or whatever night we're meeting and you ask me, I'll tell you the truth. I will always tell you the truth. There's no hidden agenda here with me. I want to let you know, when you said meetings, like I'm having secret meetings with Northeastern, no, I'm not. I had that one meeting, and I don't know why we had to have it individually. I know for the open meeting law, open it up. I have no problem. Open it up. We have nothing to hide. Let everyone hear exactly what they're saying. And I'll make sure that I'm not going to vote for any more. The chairman and the town administrator, they can meet with them, but we're going to get ready for April. And we're going to reconfirm that vote. Or you can put the options you have in front of you and you can vote it up or down. But where I stand is very simple. The answer is no. No expansion.
Just my 2 cents is, Ms. Loma, there's never been a secret meeting and there's never been a proposal done by this chairman. For you to even think that, shame on you.
No, I'm not saying...
Oh, no. I'm done with that.
Yeah, but your people, when you're having these negotiation sessions...
There's no secret meetings.
Well, open it up
Done.
to the public.
No.
No secret meetings, Richie.
There's no secret meetings.
Richie, you were the one that said that we know more than the public knows. It was you that opened your mouth.
Excuse me.
It was you. It was you, Richie. It was you that said it.
I said, listen,
No, Richie, you said it.
No, and now you're
You want to
throwing
get on that
secret meetings
road?
out.
We can get down that road, Richie.
This lady
Please.
said I had secret...
Don't
meetings
sit
with
there.
her.
No, Richie, you're the one that said that we know more than you people know. We know
Why have any
everything.
more negotiations?
Like there's an alien spaceship out there. Please.
Why have any more negotiation sessions with them?
We're not having negotiation sessions with them.
Well, you are, Tom.
We are?
Chi and he,
No, we're not. Absolutely not. I have
you
not
have no more
negotiated.
meetings.
I have not negotiated with Northeastern. I looked
No,
at
no,
their
you
plans.
haven't. I'm saying T and the...
I don't believe he
Again,
is.
there's no negotiations, we're compromising, we're discussing things. So if all else fails, we can then say, well, at least we discussed this with them. There's no secret meetings.
That's how rumors start, Richie. When
Oh, you
when
get 'em
people know
going.
more than we know more than the public.
Let me ask this question. Is the chairman of the Board of Selectmen and the town administrator meeting with Northeastern?
No secret meetings.
Are they gonna be
No
open?
deals done.
No deals. I'm just saying, are you gonna open that up to the public?
Meetings? Sure.
Why not?
Okay.
What are you getting
That's
at?
what we've been doing, Richie.
Tell me what you're getting at, because one week you're with us, and another week you're saying this, and now we're having secret meetings.
No, I'm not saying secret meeting.
Yes, you did, 3-4 times.
This young lady here just said it to me.
Oh, okay. Next.
The other one that told her, the other one that simply told her.
Individual meetings. I'm talking about individual meetings. I know they're not secret.
Individual
guess that's
meetings,
secret.
individual meetings have to happen because of the open meeting law. I've been sent to ethics twice, okay?
Okay,
How would you like to get sent to ethics? Do you think it's fun?
All right.
No, you're
Okay,
getting...
so I'm answering your question, and, you know, this is what aggravates me
What I
about people.
suggested was that the meetings with Northeastern be completely open to, in order...
They really are. All we do is they prepare us, they showed us what they wanted to build there. That's all they have done. No more.
That's great, fine, but...
Then we brought it to you.
But what I'm saying is that I know, I'm not starting any rumors. I'm hearing concerns and rumors and about back deals and so forth. And I'm trying to suggest to you that you just make them open when Northeastern is communicating to you about their public plans or their considerations in
And their
order,
rumors.
in
All right,
order
all right.
to prevent this. That's all.
See,
The November...
They're rumors, that's all they
November,
are.
stop. The December 11th meeting was started by me and the town administrator talking with Northeastern saying, okay, we've got to show the town where we're at. We couldn't do it for Thanksgiving, so I decided on December 11th, as a matter of fact. And town administrator went along, and that's what we presented, what they had shown us to that point. End of discussion. Next item on the agenda. This is a letter in your packets on the inside cover. This was supposedly given to us, and it got lost in the mail. It was from John Nelson, Chair of the Association of Massachusetts Bird Clubs. And he had, this had been read to us, but I had asked for the original. But I wanted each of us to have a copy of it. We've already read it. It's already been read to us, but just for our own records. And the official one is with the town administrator.
That's the important bird area. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. That was, I think, what's your name had brought that to us too, Linda Pivichuk, right?
Linda Pivichuk, thank you. I'm not that great with names. Here. Copy for you, copy for the town administrator. This was sent to me by Julie Tommy, so I want to take the time to read it. It should not take that long. Nahant Historical Society Board of Directors position on Northeastern University expansion. The Nahant Historical Society Board of Directors has come to the conclusion that it has a responsibility to NHS members and the people of Nahant to speak out clearly against further expansion by Northeastern University at East Point. East Point is a natural resource district under the town's bylaws and has been for nearly 30 years. If further expansion is allowed, that will be an historic decision which will negatively impact the future of East Point's landscape and that of our town for future generations. The mission of the Nahant Historical Society is not only to look back at the history of Nahant, but also to look forward and speak out against decisions which may have a significant impact upon the cultural and historical direction of Nahant in the future. The Society is tasked to preserve the town's past for the benefit of future generations. We must keep the essential being of our town, our history, our scenic beauty, our sense of community. East Point embodies all of these attributes. It is an environmentally sensitive area as a natural habitat for wild plants, migratory birds, and wildlife of many species. The point has a unique geological formation which has delighted and challenged Nahantans for centuries. Its history stretches back to ancient times, and it talks about that. The Nahant Historical Society supports the vision of Northeastern in wanting to establish a marine science center among world leaders in the field of marine and environmental science, coastal sustainability, and climate change. At the same time, we strongly believe any further expansion of the Marine Science Center will irrevocably change not only the scenic beauty of East Point, but also the essential being of our small town. By this expansion, Northeastern may well be destroying the very things they are hoping to study. We prefer Northeastern to build their vision in a community that has the size and infrastructure to support their long-term goals. Nahant clearly does not have that infrastructure or size. As one of the preservation-focused organizations in Nahant, the Nahant Historical Society is committed unequivocally to saving and protecting all that is special about our town, and it's from their board of directors. Came to me an email, I wanted the town to hear it. New business.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman. I move that both these letters be put in either the report of the Board of Selectmen for the year ending, okay? Both letters should be in there, or any tab that you're gonna have on Northeastern for the coming April warrant. These two letters should be printed, so every registered voter gets a copy of these and see them. They're talking about, you know, the birds and also the Historic Society against the expansion. So I'd make sure, I would move that, Mr. Chairman.
Second?
I'll second it for discussion.
Where would they go in the town warrant?
Well, we're gonna have a tab. I imagine you'd have a tab. I would want a tab in the April warrant concerning Northeastern. And these letters in opposition should be printed and put in the warrant.
Town warrant, why are we putting Northeastern on the town warrant? Has anybody put Northeastern on the town warrant yet, T?
No.
Well,
I mean, if it's something with Northeastern there, then I suppose we could, on the town warrant. Are we putting anything on there about Northeastern?
I believe we are.
What are we putting on there? What can you tell us, Richie?
We haven't prepared anything at this point. We also, were you talking about the warrant, or are you talking about the annual report?
The annual report,
Like the book that we do?
yeah.
The warrant and the annual book. are two
Well, the
different
annual
things.
book, I meant the annual book, so that everyone in the town can get a copy of these two letters.
But what's gonna be in there about Northeastern?
Well, I was to understand that you're gonna put some proposals in there from Northeastern, their proposal and the counter proposals.
Why would we put?
Well, that's what I'm hearing, I heard that.
Again,
I heard that directly from the town administrator.
I don't know.
Clear that.
On that town report, I haven't heard nothing.
Well,
Well, let
me ask you a question. Is that gonna happen or not? I mean,
Well,
we heard that you guys are gonna put their proposals in the warrant. I guess.
no.
Vote on it.
What I was discussing with Richie was that there's been rumor out there that there could be a citizens petition to authorize the board to pursue eminent domain with Northeastern.
Well, if that's the case,
But
then
the board has not, I haven't been approached by the board to put anything in there, but if that were to happen, I guess you could add these letters.
I haven't heard anything about that.
Well, let's do this. If you could just table that, and if this happens, they definitely go on. If there's something on Northeastern, we definitely put them
For
in.
eminent domain.
I mean,
I suspect it probably will. So, you know,
Well, last meeting, I asked someone to ask that I was making up this, someone told me about the eminent domain, that they were gonna pay for the whole thing. Am I correct? And that came from a town administrator. But now I find out you had a meeting with them this week, past week?
I called for that meeting.
Okay, you were at the meeting.
No, the town administrator and our lawyer,
And KP Law,
none of us.
Correct.
okay. And they said that they could only come up with 5 million or something for the eminent domain? Am I correctly saying that?
I don't want to speak for, the folks from Keep Now Wild or, put a specific number on it. I would prefer them to talk about that publicly if they wanted to.
Are you saying, Richie, that the Preservation Trust is gonna pay for the whole shooting match?
No, that's what they told me.
Well, that's great.
Let me finish.
I mean, if they're gonna pay for it,
Can
let's
I,
buy it.
excuse me. I don't want to interrupt you. Don't interrupt me, please.
Well, you're telling me that they're gonna pay for it.
No, that's what they told me. That's what they told me, Enzo.
Okay.
Now they had a meeting this week and they said, oh, well, we don't have an open book. We probably can come up with 5 million. And that's not going to handle it, I'll be honest with you. So the eminent domain, as far as I'm concerned, is dead.
Oh, okay. So then what's your plan?
What's my plan?
Yeah.
I have no plan.
What's your plan to stop Northeastern then, if we don't do eminent domain?
Well, we're going to have to take...
Tell them you can't do it?
Well, again, you know...
You told me,
Well, you think...
your words to me were they, soup to nuts, they're gonna pay for this.
No,
So
no, no.
let's hold them to it.
Excuse me.
Let's hold them
That's
to
what
it,
they
Richie.
told me, Enzo.
Well, then
Soup to nuts.
let's hold them to it.
Hold on. They said to me, soup to nuts, including the legal fees. They told me that.
Great.
Okay?
I have no
Now-
problem with it.
No, wait a minute. This week, at the meeting, they told the town administrator, they probably can come up with like 5 million. Correct me if I'm wrong. So I said, that's good. I just told them, that's not gonna be enough. And I just said to that. So to me, and I said, well, we don't have the money to take that. Very simple.
You know, I did the analysis of 5 million, 10 million, and $30 million, what it will cost the town to buy that by eminent domain over 30 years. I won't be able to live here anymore. I'm sure he won't. And I'm sure a lot of people won't be able to live here anymore.
Well, that's the...
So, the eminent domain is a huge risk. If they want to pay for it, if they want to give us a check for the amount that we can put in escrow, and I've said this openly, okay? Every dime of it that we think that is going to come in at the number, then I'll tell you what, we'll do it. But I am not going to risk the town's assets. I can tell you that right now. Or the town. I'm not going to risk anything in this town. It's my job as a Board of Selectmen member not to do that. And it's to protect the assets of the town. I am not going to borrow $30 million or $20 million or even $10 million to buy a piece of property like that. If they want to pay for it, okay, and if the town votes to do it and borrow that money, well, then that's fine. Okay, so put it on the agenda, Richie.
I'm not putting in
Okay,
any...
eminent domain. Let's see if
you know,
two-thirds of
my
the town will pay for it.
When I heard that, I heard tonight, it's not an open checkbook. Right? That's point A. Point
They
B...
told you there was.
No, do you understand me, Enzo?
I understand you fully, Richie.
Excuse me, do you understand what I just
Yeah,
said to you?
I understand that
They
you-
told me
Yeah.
they'll take it by eminent domain.
They're gonna take it by eminent domain.
And that whatever the cost is involved, they would pay for it.
Then,
Excuse me, that was statement A.
okay, then I'll hold them to it.
No, excuse me.
You want me to call them?
Can I finish?
Let him finish.
That's what they told me. When I found out you had a meeting with them, they said the max, we probably can, we don't have an open book, checkbook. It's only gonna be 5 million. And I said to the town administrator, there goes your eminent domain. That's, okay, now, see, did you understand the first?
So let me ask you a question. How come T and Rich, how come T and I weren't, why didn't they call us too? They only work with you? They told you.
Yeah.
But they didn't tell him, they didn't tell me, and they didn't tell Tony.
Well, I don't know that. I don't know the answer to that question.
That sounds like a sneaky meeting to me.
A sneaky meeting to me.
That sounds like a meeting, a special, whatever you want to call it.
No,
A behind-the-doors meeting to me.
There was a comment made. I was sitting in my car, and the comment was made through the window.
Oh,
Now, I hear tonight's comment.
dealing $30 million through a window.
All right.
No, Enzo, no.
I've
You
had
didn't-
enough.
No,
I've had enough.
No, you didn't understand me, did you? Do you understand the first
Oh,
part?
I understand fully,
Part
Richie.
one, what did I say in the first part?
Part one is you're dealing with people through a window.
Excuse me.
Okay, you
These
said
are
that they were gonna pay for
responsible
our soup to
individuals.
nuts.
These are
I'm not gonna-
responsible individuals.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I think that's very irresponsible, Richie.
Okay,
You're
well,
dealing with
I
the towns-
I
you're dealing
disagree
with
with
the towns.
you.
Well, you
If
can,
they
Richie.
tell me,
All right,
excuse me,
all right.
wait, hold on, dear, I'm gonna finish.
Well,
Do
let's
you
not
understand
yell.
part one?
Yeah, Part B, yeah, let's go with
Okay,
A,
now
Part A,
part
B, C, and D.
Part
Richie.
A is...
I understand the whole thing, Richie.
You
I understand the whole
but
thing.
You see, you're saying... Okay.
Richie,
All right.
I'm the
I'm
one
not gonna
that's
argue
taking
with
the
you.
task.
I'm not
all
gonna
right?
argue with you.
Not you.
All right, stop. Through all this, I'll give myself a pat in the back for trying to remain compromising with Northeastern. Thank you.
And so, and I will too.
3A, approve the appointment of Officer Hoffman as a full-time Nahant police officer. Richie.
Wait a minute. I gotta get the...
I can do it if you want.
Hold on, I'll do it.
No,
I'll
let
do
him
it. Hang
do
on,
it. He
hang on.
wants to do it.
Have a little patience, Enzo. Okay? I move the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the appointment of Officer Jason Hoffman as a full-time Nahant police officer. I so move that, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second it for discussion.
Discussion.
I've met Officer Hoffman. He's a nice kid. I know that I met him once. He was doing the election with Peggy downstairs, and he's very thorough. He's trained, which is good, so we don't have to train him. Personally, I would have picked the Nahant kid. There was a Nahant kid there, but I know that Bobby Dwyer does a good job picking who he wants, and I will go along with it.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Unanimous?
Mr. Chairman, before you move on to the next one, I just want to take a quick opportunity to thank, so this position is to fill the position of Officer Brian Palangi, who's been with the town for quite some time, who is now moving on to join the state police. He'll be going into that academy. So just take the opportunity to thank him for his time as a Nahant police officer.
Thank you.
Can I speak in this matter?
Said, yeah.
We seem to be having some of these officers join the Nahant force and then go through and get all the certificates they need and then leave the Nahant police to go to either the state police or some other. Is there some way that once we hire this, like this new police officer, we can sign a, like a 3-year contract with him so that he has to confirm and have that contract, he has to serve out the 3 years, a minimum 3 years before he moves? Just a suggestion.
It's a good idea.
I would have
You
to
look into
check, yeah, I'd have to
Check
look
with the
into it
chief.
because of the union contracts and how that works.
Still an idea, I mean,
Yeah.
it's worth
I
pursuing.
mean, it's definitely an issue, and it's not just here in Nahant, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
One of the benefits of Officer Hoffman is that he's already fully trained.
Yes.
He's also got 911 dispatch training, he's been through the academy, so the benefit of this fill-in is that we won't have to, spend money to get him trained and pay for overtime while he's at the academy. So it's a tough thing that, a lot of communities are dealing with. But I'll look into
Yeah.
ways that we can try to prevent it from happening
I
in the...
think Bobby already did that a while ago, and there was a reason why.
Well, we need to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Approve annual tobacco licenses.
I move the Board of Selectmen vote to approve tobacco license renewal applications with an expiration date of January 31st, 2020 for Nahant Market, Richland, and Seaside Variety.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Discussion.
I do want to discuss one thing. I know that the vape stuff there is becoming an issue, and I think, have you been contacted yet by the city?
No.
Anyone from the city?
No.
From
The
the town
town
clerk?
clerk, oh, yes, the town clerk, yes.
She couldn't be here tonight because she's ill, the
Yeah.
woman that...
Yeah, and I
But she
think
wants to be on the agenda.
I had asked if Peggy could get her here
Right.
to be on the agenda. And I'll put her on first
Yeah,
when she comes.
okay.
Okay.
Did you want to ban that, Enzo?
No, this is what's going on. The Board of Health should really have gone on top of this. Vaping is, again, it's a nicotine product. I don't know what they do with it, but they can, you have to be 21 to buy them now. most cities and towns adopted the 21-year-old age. However, it was like the drinking age back in the 18, when it was 18. So what happened was we didn't adopt it right away, and what ended up happening is those kids are grandfathered. The kids that were 18 on December 31st, 2000, year 2000, are exempt, so they can still buy the cigarettes, those vape cigarettes, all right?
Okay.
The new ones, the kids after December 31st, 2000, the year 2000, can't buy them.
So she'll explain all this to us.
Oh, yeah, she'll explain,
Good.
and it's
Okay.
something that we should have,
Okay.
and I will say that the town clerk had been after me to, had been
No,
after us to get that.
she sent me a couple of,
Right.
okay, those in favor? Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Maybe we should hold up on this tobacco.
Till we hear from her?
Well, I'd like to hear from her, number one, but I also think we should look into, other cities and towns have stopped banning those from the retail outlets in the various cities and towns. So we should probably, before we vote on this, we should look at it and hear from Peggy before
Well, it's not,
we vote.
I don't think we can. I think it's a done deal. They're exempt. It's the vaping cigarettes.
Yeah, the vapor cigarettes, but we can ban them in the retail sales of it.
I don't think we can.
As the Board of
Well,
Health. But would you,
Let's wait on this then, I'm with you. Let's wait on this
Okay,
vote
all right, if you want to,
and have
until
town
after we
coun-
talk with her.
have town council review what the intentions of the board are.
Yep.
is this going to jeopardize their cigarette sales?
It may, reading this, it looks like it expires January, no, that was,
31st, yeah. Okay, let's
So-
vote them in, and,
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
If you hold on it, although we are gonna, we may have another meeting on the 31st just to shut the warrant. So we might come back on the 31st, and you potentially could hold on this for a week. But I would assume that Nahant Market's existing license expires on the 31st of this month. So you just want to take that into consideration.
I think we should be meeting every week until the warrant is done. Personally, I think we should, because we need to get the budget done, we need to get all this stuff done by the end of the warrant, by the end of the time the warrant is due.
let's go on this, though. So your suggestion is that, what?
If we're meeting next Thursday, will you have time to get this clarified for us?
I think so.
I mean,
I think so.
7 o'clock next Thursday night,
sure.
and have a short meeting, and
And we'll add this to the
more
agenda.
budgeting,
It'll be about the warrant, we'll add this to the agenda.
and we'll add this with the budget. Okay.
By the way, I can help you, doing the budgets and, and the articles and things like that.
I'm gonna get into that and
Yeah, if you need.
part of the meeting.
Help, just, give me a call, I'll come up and help you. But I mean, I want to hear what Peggy had to say, I guess.
3C, so we'll postpone the vote on that. Approved McElveen wedding ceremony at Lodge Park, September 7th, 2019.
I move, Mr. Chairman, the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the McElveen wedding ceremony at Lodge Park on September 7th, 2019. I so move that, Mr. Chairman.
I second it.
Discussion. Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. D, approve the annual Nahant Beach Cleanup Day to be hosted by Swim, Inc. on April 28th, 2019.
I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the annual annual Nahant Beach Cleanup hosted by Swim Incorporated on April 28th, 2019.
Second?
Discussion. Seeing and hearing none, those in favor?
Aye.
I move.
Unanimous vote.
I said aye.
Okay.
I move, Mr. Chairman, we vote to approve the concert to benefit the Friends of Nahant Public Library for May 18th, 2009 at Town Hall.
I'll second it.
Discussion. Seeing and hearing none.
Aye?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous vote. Approve MVP Committee Community You
Resilience.
say it.
Okay, I move the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the MVP Committee Community Resilience Workshop for February 9th at Town Hall.
Second?
Further discussion?
This is the, again, this is the committee that I had initiated back, way back when, and they're moving along in a very rapid pace. They're going to have a workshop to discuss resilience to climate change and sea level rising,
Oh, nice.
and discussion on how to, and once we become approved, then we're eligible for grants for different things. And thanks to Mr. Barletta for pointing me in the right direction way back when. It's turned out very well. I get some great people on that committee.
Good, beautiful. Further discussion, Richard?
I'd like to comment and thank Enzo. Enzo, you did a great job in that.
Well, it's not,
There's a lot of
it wasn't
people,
me.
there's a lot of people interested in coming to that meeting and hearing about that whole, the tides and,
Oh, yes.
yeah, so that's very, you did a great job there, Enzo. Not all the time, but I have to commend you for that.
No need, believe me.
Good job, Enzo.
Thank you.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous vote. Town Administrator Report, Budget Development Strategy.
Okay, thank you. So the last time we talked about budget was a couple Board of Selectmen meetings ago. And I spoke to you, the board, about our current financial situation in the town and really highlighted the fact that, you know, we aren't putting, as noted in the 2015 Division of Local Services, Department of Revenue report, you know, noted that we aren't putting any money in our OPEB or our reserves, which jeopardizes our bond rating. On top of that, we have our free cash and overlay funds are decreasing. This year, we have about $275,000 less than we did last year, and we project that it's going to continue to decrease going forward. Also, we have about $1.6 million in storm damage that FEMA will cover 75% of, so we estimate that our 25% of that is going to be somewhere between $400,000 and $600,000. So we have a few challenges in front of us, and if you look at the first page of this briefing I gave you, kind of lays that out. So based on our draft operating budget, so this is based on department heads' requests that have come into me, we have $13,430,507 in expenses, draft. And our revenue projections are $12,145,587, plus the use of overlay and free cash, which is $741,918. So if you subtract the 12 million and the 700,000 numbers from what the current requested operating budget is, we have a shortage of $543,000 and $2. $543 and $2. Again, this is somewhat estimated. Plus, if you add the, I'll go on the high side just to stress the issue. If you add $600,000 of the FEMA damage, we're estimating a shortage of about $1.1 million. And so this is, you know, why we were started to talk about an override. Now, the next step in this process is for me to go back and speak to the department heads and try and cut as much as we can from the requested amount without jeopardizing, you know, necessary services to the town. And also make a decision about how we want to treat that 25% of FEMA that we owe. We can borrow to pay that off, but the concern with that is that if you borrow for the whole amount and pay that off over time, we're kicking the can down the road. Plus, we have less free cash coming in. We project less revenues next year and the following year. So we wanted to try to determine, if we can try and, with an override, potentially take a significant piece of that and pay for it this year and borrow for less, plus make some cuts. Hopefully, we can try and minimize the amount of the override. What's not on this page, as you can see, is that we aren't putting, again, for another year, putting no money into reserves or OPEB, which, again, we are jeopardizing our bond rating. And so every time we borrow, we'll be, as the bond rating gets worse, we'd be paying back more. Next page is just enterprise funds versus revenue projections. Those are level, no shortage in either one of those. So the third page here is an override bill impact, just to give you some thoughts about, as we're thinking about how much of an override are we comfortable with pursuing. So I have here a $600,000, a $700,000, an $800,000, and $1 million override. Again, this is estimated impact, and it's based on the average home value of $647,000. So with a $600,000 override, the average home first year total increase impact would be $433. And as you know, you split that in two. So for each bill, you would see an additional $200. The average home would see an additional $200 there. For $700,000 override, the total for the first year would be $500, and that each bill would be $250. For $800, it's $575 for the first year total, and $287 per bill. And then for $1 million override, you're looking at a $700 increase in the first year for the average home, and $360 per bill. So the reason I, do this bill impact is obviously I'm very cautious about how this is going to impact the residents of the town and how we're going to try to approach, filling that gap, that deficit, while also trying to prepare us for the next couple years. Because as I said, we project that the free cash is going to continue to decrease. So I also have in this pile of information that I provided you is the draft capital plan and the summary of the department head's requested budget. So I look forward to continuing this conversation. I hope that, at the next meeting or shortly thereafter, we'll have some more precise numbers and a plan for an override approach.
May I?
Oh, absolutely.
We can't continue to keep borrowing. I would agree with that. And the problem I'm having is we keep doing that. And we're paying, I think the past 10 years or so, we've been paying interest only on a loan that we have for the Coast Guard housing. That needs to be remedied. And it needs to be remedied this year, I think. So that we can pay that off and have some money to pay some of our debt off. This is no surprise. People should understand that, sewer was $1.5 million when it broke. The storm, they were only going to reimburse us X amount of dollars. The MVP committee will get some grants probably, for seawall and things like that, but not to the full extent. So, I mean, this comes as no surprise, to me, anyway, that we need extra money to pay for these things that have happened to us. And the capital plan, is there any sewer? You get phase one in here.
No, we borrowed $4 million last year for sewer.
Right.
And we haven't spent, we're actually in the beginning phases of doing the sewer assessment. We had our kickoff meeting. We haven't signed a contract yet with the selected engineering services, but because of a lot of the turnover last year, we're not getting the money out the door fast enough, in my opinion. I don't see, while also trying to limit how much more we borrow for this year to limit future debt, payments. We also have $4 million, a little bit less now, but we have enough for sewer to pursue significant projects next year. So to me, it's not necessary for us to borrow more money for this coming fiscal year
I understand
for that.
But people have to understand that that's one of the reasons why the water and sewer rate went up, because of borrowing money for that, plus repairing it. And people have asked those questions. I'm sure they've asked you too, Richie, and I know they've called the town hall, and these are just some of the things that they have to understand that we're up against, and this has to get done. And now they're talking about doing construction on the Windway. They're going to have 500 units or whatever. That's just more and more traffic, more and more vibration, more and more of them digging up the road, and we can't afford to have another break like that. So the construction plan, I would hope that they would try to, give us some kind of a plan to go across the harbor. And I think we need to move on that at some point soon. That $4 million isn't going to go very far. We know that. So I think you're doing a great job, projecting all this stuff, Tony. And I think people have to be aware that we're not putting money away.
Well, first of all, I got to thank, the staff here and the department heads. I mean, this is my first time going through the budget here or not, so it's, without their support, I wouldn't have this ready for you guys, and they're doing a great job. So I got to thank them. Secondly, I would say that a lot of this information was identified in last year's warrant, in the FinCom book. It
Right.
projected, this coming down the road. And the Department of Local Services even identified our issue with not putting money in OPEB and stabilization. So it has been out there for quite some time. The question is, trying to balance how much of an override versus the impact to the residents. But it's not, I also want to be clear that I'm not just trying to solve this problem with additional revenue. We're also looking at, ways to be smarter with our expenses. Our second highest expense is our utilities. The Green Communities
Right.
program, we got designated this past year. We have a grant coming in for this upcoming year of $130,000. We're going to be able to convert all of our interior lights to LED. I mean, there's a 5-year plan to reduce our energy by 20%, and that is going to reduce a significant amount of cost for us that we can then shift towards other things. So, I'm trying to look at everything of, how we can try to control some of our expenses too. It's not just get more money to solve the problem.
And next year, we can look at grants, green community grants for the library, heating system, air conditioning system.
And
It's all going to be reduced.
the MVP, you brought up the MVP. That program could lead to grant money to build infrastructure that's going to help prevent $1.6 million in storm damage from a storm. So there's a lot of efforts going on to try to restrict some of those expenses in the future.
And the $130,000 was what? a grant for what?
We are a designated green community, so you can use that money towards any type of energy efficiency project. So in the energy reduction plan, which gives you five years of phases of different projects you can implement, all ranked based on, how soon does it need to happen, what's the payback, what's the savings. Right at the top there, identified is interior lighting in our town buildings with, very short paybacks. I mean, instant savings, big, significant savings for the town. So, there's also things like energy management systems, potentially looking at purchasing our streetlights and converting those to LEDs. And there's a lot of state funding out there that will help us make those purchases. So we're looking at a lot of different ways to try to attack this issue on both sides.
Thank you. And a shout out to you, Mr. Burrell, for starting this.
Well, the green communities, yeah.
Green
But
communities.
I have to,
Thank you.
okay, you're welcome. I want to thank Diane. Diane Monteith did a great job.
And Diane Monteith, right. She was a
she-
bulldog. She
she-
really
oh,
pushed.
yeah.
Good for
And
you,
it-
Diane. Thank you.
And it's a good thing. LEDs do save a lot of money, and the streetlight thing is, there's two different proposals to either buy them or rent them. Looking at the causeway, I don't know, maybe we should rent them, because they keep, I guess.
They're out there
Well,
almost the
salt
whole
water,
week.
they don't do well in salt water, but it's the money you save on electricity is just unbelievable.
Now, if possible, at some point, well, I'm hoping you'll do this, at some point, we address what if the override doesn't pass? And unfortunately, you will present that to us at some point.
Right.
I don't expect it tonight.
Well, just back of the envelope response to that, I would say we would have to borrow the $600,000 for the FEMA damage, which again, we're just kicking the can down the road and it's gonna eventually come back to hurt us. And we would have to, there's $543,000 right now in shortage based on the draft operating budget, based on the request. So, I mean, I think that there's definitely some room there. For instance, in the harbor master's budget is $70,000 for a new harbor master boat. However, we've recently had conversations with Mayor McGee and City of Lynn. They have a boat over there that, they're willing to part with to provide to us, and then we can use our insurance money to, put all the necessary equipment that we need, and that would be potentially no cost to us. So there's $70,000 right there that we could cut off of this. So there's things like that within the budget that we have to look at. If we do not get an override, we'd have to think about cuts to services here in town this year. I don't know how much that total would be, but we would also we'd be risking our bond rating going forward, and eventually all of our infrastructure is aging at the same time. And if you look at other towns like Topsfield or Swampscott, and these things are neglected and not maintained appropriately, everything ends up hitting you at the same time. And if you don't have that good bond rating, and you don't have the revenues to pay for it, we're required by state law to provide a balanced budget.
Right.
So, it's going to be crucial. But that's, the last time we met, you, the board, directed me to come up with two budgets, one with an override, one without. So that's what I'm trying to do. I just wanted you to see, what the gap is that we're looking at and what the impact would be on different amounts of an override. And that's how we're trying to approach That's how I'm trying to approach, that secondary budget.
Okay. Good. Any questions, guys? Go ahead, Rich.
Yeah, I think we should vote in tonight to set the date for the override. I think we should absolutely, definitely go on, because you've got, there's too much, too many entities here. The storm damage alone, we gotta put that in. Then your shortfall, I don't know if that's the right number, but you've gotta do it. You have to understand the tax rate. Jerry Perry, your prior town administrator, he was saying that we are the lowest tax rate in the county for the services we're performing, fire, police, public works. I'm not sure if you're still missing a superintendent and one male, not one person, I shouldn't say male, for the public works. They've only got 5 people down there, and some of their, so I'm in favor of setting, give Tony some dates. It has to be within the next 8 weeks, 9 weeks, probably the end of March, to have the override on a Saturday, so people can vote, so we can put the annual warrant together, the final warrant with the finance committee.
There's 3 options, so it is a ballot question. There's 3 options. You could have a ballot question on an override prior to the April town meeting. You could have it the same day, and essentially the same day, or you could have it after. If you did it the same day or after, then at town meeting, we would basically approve 2 budgets, one contingent upon that vote. So there's 3 different approaches. I can, further explore the pros and cons of each one and provide that as well at the next time I give you a budget update.
I would prefer you have the numbers prior to going to the April town warrant. So you have, people, when you go through that and have the override either in your hand or not in your hand, so you can get the numbers ready for April.
You want to wait on the motion? I'm for June. I believe we hit them with two budgets in April town meeting. They vote both budgets contingent upon the override. They've got 2 months to think it through, well, 1 month, 6 weeks, say, and then they vote it up or down. And then you have 3 weeks or whatever is left to do what you have to do.
I agree with Richie. It's obviously would be nicer to know how much the revenues are going to be at April town meeting so we can just develop one budget and plan that way. However, I agree with you too, T, because it's an important decision for the residents of the town. So you want to show them what the impact is with and without an override. So there's like I said, there's pros and cons of each approach.
But if we have it in March, and if we don't have it in March, say we have it in June, now we've got to we have to have a special town meeting again to bring it back. Once they approve the override, then we have to go back in and vote the numbers, the budget again.
I don't know if
We
you
vote-
would. I think
we
you
vote
vote. I think
both
you
in the
approve
April town
both,
meeting.
and one's contingent upon the approval of the
April town
override.
meeting, we vote yay on both budgets, and then the override passes, we go with B. If it fails, we go with A.
I believe that's how it would work.
Check on that, I'm not sure.
Everyone gets a chance to have 2 full months to gather down at the beach and to talk
So why
it over.
don't we do this? Why don't I double check that? And like I said, I can give you guys, the pros and cons of each one and how that process
Well,
would
I'm
lay
going to
out.
vote for June, so, just to let you know.
I tend to agree with T, because I can tell you that other communities have their annual town meeting, like we do, but then they have their budget, they vote on a budget later on, when they know what they're gonna get for free cash, when they know what they're gonna get for overlay. And I think you should talk to the town clerk about that, how other communities do it, because she's familiar with all them, and how they approach it. It's always the election first, and then
Well, we have to.
budget
Bas-
afterwards.
The town charter requires that we have our annual town meeting on the last.
I know that.
So we have to have it in April. We have to have a meeting in April.
But I think the budget can be set later.
At the same time, why don't you check with Department of Revenue, Local Services, because they, I'm sure, are familiar with how overrides are done.
I'll call Jerry Perry.
Yeah, or talk with Perry, but,
He handled all those over.
I mean, I can give you a couple of names there too, because I worked there. But, I mean, the other town administrator, you can look into that, you know what I'm saying? And then
Oh, do you have names?
advisors. Yeah, I worked with some of them before. So,
And you know, the other thing Richie brought up was, last fiscal year, we were probably one of the lowest, maybe the second lowest in Essex County. This year, we're more somewhat in the middle because of the debt shift from the sewer break of the previous year, that we had to do emergency borrowing. And that's kind of what I'm talking about, is if we don't get a handle of it, then you're gonna have more scenarios like that, where you need to do emergency borrowing, and it causes a massive percentage increase.
They're gonna be putting condos, you know, in the Beacon Chevrolet area. They've got approved, they're gonna break ground any day. And then Christie's at the Rotary, they're gonna put condos there too. So all that, you know,
Actually,
that sewer, that main that go across, I think about looking about going across the ocean at the end of by the Public Works, so, and, you know, might cost us a few more shillings, but keep it off the Linway.
when we had our kickoff meeting with Wright Pierce, the contractor that we selected, we talked about the scope of services that we're asking them to look into, and that's one of them. And they're also going to come to a Board of Selectmen meeting to explain to you the different options that they're going to take a look at. One's Cross Harbor, one is, you know, within the Linway. There's a number of different ones, but I will also say that we talked about having a joint meeting with Lynn Water Sewer and the Swampscott, because, you know, Swampscott's sewer main, which also goes down the Linway, is about 10 years older than ours.
Yep.
And Lynn Water Sewer is going to see a ton of development in that area. So there could be cost savings, at least on the excavation, if we did it all together. So that's, you know, we are trying to coordinate with them to try and find some cost savings for us.
we almost have to.
Swampscott sewer main, why couldn't they, if we put something on the causeway, we talked about this before, because I had a meeting, we had a public meeting over at Number T. Why couldn't they tie in, if we go across the harbor, why couldn't they tie in there? I mean, I think the Linway, I hate to say this, they were digging it up again last week. You don't know what they're doing down there. I think
Middle lane, too.
I think it's a big mistake having that pipe on the Linway.
Yeah, I do too.
I think going across the harbor is the way to go.
I agree with you. And Swamps could be
Even
more
if
than
it's another, you know,
Swamps could be more than, I know, they're very much interested. Tony, the Crester over there, was thinking about asking, coming with the board and meeting with us, and when you start diagram of the engineers, they love to come across that rotary and tie it right into our pipe going down behind the Public Works, you know, at the end of the causeway.
Their pipe actually goes up
It would
road.
save our costs, it would cut our costs just about a hell. They'd be joining us.
You know, I don't know. The contractor talked about a micro tunnel that would be significantly deeper than the existing utilities in the Linway. They're going to explore, you know, what the cost of that would be or savings would be of doing something like that. They're going to look at Cross Harbor too. So we've pushed it on them to give us a menu of options and explain the pros and cons of all of them so that we can make the right choice.
that's a good way to do
And we can always go through the town meeting and postpone the town meeting, you know what I mean? The financial to June. You know what I'm saying? Have the override, if you wanna do it at the annual town meeting with, on the ballot, you know, with the rest of the elections, you know, put another.
Oh, I'm going for June, like I told you.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Definitely going for June. I think when you talk to DOR people, the local services, they've been through it. I talked to a few of them, and they recommended giving the town from April until whatever we do in June, whatever the date is, to really talk it through and really talk it over. Because the first comment I heard was, oh, they want an override because they want to pay for lawyers for Northeastern.
Again, another rumor.
That came to me yesterday.
One,
And I don't even bother explaining
Yeah.
because
this,
I'm done with that.
this override is not for new things. This override is to fix a deficit that we're encountering and to protect our bond rating going forward. So, that's not the case.
Oh, understood, but I think we make a better, I think the faster we come up with what happens if it fails, here are the things that are going to be affected.
Yeah.
I think obviously you've been there, you're working on it, but when we get that, we really pound that. Because right now, they're just throwing rumors and more rumors. Another set of rumors.
We didn't make sure, we need to make sure the three members of the board get this override passed, because what have we got? We have to cut firemen, policemen, public works. I mean, and we don't have enough officers on all three of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, thank you. So, I'll talk with you.
Are we gonna meet Thursday night?
That's what I was just gonna bring up, yeah. I'll talk with you, Monday or Tuesday. Monday. We'll decide on whether we do next Thursday.
Because we have to do it.
Okay, you wanna set the meeting up for next Thursday at 7?
If you guys, if the board would prefer to do it earlier, we can do it earlier, whatever time you want to do it, but we do have to have it on Thursday because we need to close the warrant.
I'd keep it at 7.
7?
Yeah, I would,
7.
because
Yeah.
this way,
We need to meet more, I think we need to meet more often until we get this budget set, get everything done. Just,
I have no problem.
then we can sit back a little bit, all right? Okay?
Good idea.
Okay with you?
I have no problem. Unless Tony says we can bypass a week or something.
I've gotta hang around with you two longer?
Yeah, I guess so.
Great. That's great. It's a great country. All right. Next on the agenda is, we now have winter red and blue light graphics on both the town and police website homepages. Red equals winter parking ban in effect. Blue equals snow emergency in effect, no parking. Plus, they called the homes. That was nice, they did
Get
that.
your red and blue lights, Steve.
I know, we're close to my blue lights. I'll get them before I leave. Okay, announcements. Do we, no, he's just letting us know. There's no real vote. Closing,
I don't see any, is there?
no. Oh, here it is, wait a minute. Closing announcements I just did. Anyone have any ongoing business? Either of us? Either of you have
Well, I
ongoing business?
had some painting that was given to us, donated. Is it possible we get a plaque and donated, Pete Rogers under there, and I don't know, that maybe talk to B about that theme, the theme, so that people come and look at it, nice bronze plaque, somebody can, Bobby Joe, that could be a project for Bobby Joe.
It would be nice.
Huh?
It would be
It'd be
nice.
just something,
We don't need a vote for that, please do it.
No, I just,
Yeah, good call, Richie. That sounds good, right?
Yeah.
Plaque for that? Then I take it and put it in my kitchen. I got a wall for it, all set. Think I could get away with it?
I doubt it.
Putting it in the car would be impossible. That's the thing.
I had to move it from his house
Oh,
into my car. My car's like,
It fit in your car?
Enzo can move it down for you.
Good. Yeah, you help me bring it to my
and it
house?
was, I banged it once, the frame once, and I go, oh, boy.
I stopped to say hello to you the other day.
Cameras, they had
Motion
us.
to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned, 8:25.